Good morning, this is Rich Nelson with Allendale. We have a special update here. This is June 18th of 2015. Let's cover this monthly supply demand report, which was just released. Now keep in mind, as far as a precursor to any discussion about the numbers, USDA generally does not give an accurate real-world right now situation in these numbers here, typically on this June report. They leave acreage unchanged according to and they use those March planting, prospective planting numbers. And for yield, they almost always leave those unchanged as well for corn and soybeans. For corn, yield has been changed in 3 of the past 10 years, but only in those years of late plantings. So USDA left acreage and yield unchanged for corn and soybeans. Now, as far as corn goes, we did see only a minor revision here for old crop stocks. They were raised from 1.851 to now 1.876. We're actually quite surprised to see how they did this. They actually lowered corn for ethanol use by about 25 million bushels. They are now implying that corn for ethanol will only be 0.8% over last year. That actually is quite a bit of a change here. Considering the fact that we are running current ethanol rates at 5% over last year. Now, USDA suggests that corn for ethanol efficiency is actually much better than expected, therefore we'll need to use less corn. We actually strongly counter that argument with the simple fact in saying you've got to have a 4% decrease then, or 4% increase in corn for ethanol efficiency, which so far is not being shown yet on the numbers. So USDA did lower corn for ethanol by 25 million bushels, and therefore raised old crop stocks by 25 million bushels here. We certainly would suggest it's maybe a little premature to make that type of move, especially in the face of some very strong year-to-date numbers in ethanol production. Now, in terms of new crop side, no numbers were made on the U.S. balance sheet at all here. Only change was, of course, that's a change for old crop ending stocks, which is therefore new crop beginning stocks. So new crop was raised 1.746 to 1.771 billion bushels. Now, one thing to look at as far as the world side of things here, there actually was some changes on old crop side as far as world. USDA went from 192.5 million tons for old crop corn stocks. That was actually raised up to 197.0. A little surprising in how they did that here. They actually jumped Argentina's corn crop by about 0.5 million tons to now 25. The surprise actually was seen in Brazil, where they actually made a full 3 million ton increase to now 81 million tons for corn production. So between Argentina and Brazil, a 3.5 million ton increase in just 1 month. So that's as far as that side here. So new crop stocks, 195.2, actually slightly lower than this new old crop number, which is now 197.0. General story for corn remains very clear. In general, we have moderate stocks, which can be roughly equal to last year. So we shouldn't see a major change in terms of trade psychology on this report by itself. Now, in terms of soybeans, USDA did make a 10 million bushel increase for both crush as well as exports on this report, and therefore old crop stocks were lowered from 350 million bushels to now 330. Probably a pretty steep drop here, considering we're actually looking at much bigger numbers here just a few months ago. And with no changes here as far as the new crop balance sheet in any serious way, we of course see a similar type of drop here in numbers for a new crop, going from 500 million bushels last month to 475. So better than expected demand, still supporting this old crop soybean picture. Now, this doesn't really change the overall story for rising supplies for new crop on both a domestic and world basis as well. Now, on the world side, USDA did make some changes for old crop soybean production. They jumped the Argentine crop by about 1 million tons to now 59.5, and actually left their estimate for Brazil unchanged at 94.5 million tons. One thing which was a little surprising to see was they really jumped up the old crop Brazilian crush rate. They actually added in just 1 month 1.7 million tons to their previous estimate. Therefore, despite a higher crop for Argentina and Brazil combined, they actually suggested better usage. Therefore, we did see a drop in old crop ending stocks from 85.5 to now 83.7 million tons. Now, the new crop picture was not changed too much. In fact, no changes for production on any of the main producers. We will point out, though, we're still looking at a large increase, now 93.2 million tons for new crop bean stocks. Now, as far as wheat goes, we did see some minor changes to the old crop picture here. Imports down about 2 million tons. They actually did also drop exports as well by about 5 million bushels. So in terms of the numbers as a whole, only a 3 million bushel revision, going from 709 million bushels last month to now 712 for old crop wheat. Keep in mind, this is now more or less the almost official number for old crop ending stocks for wheat. We actually will see another revision still coming. That'll be on the June 30th grain stocks report. That's where we actually see a physical count of numbers left over at the end of the old crop wheat year. Wheat officially started the new crop year as of June 1. Now, in terms of new crop, there actually were some changes to note in terms of production. The trade was looking for an increase, and that's exactly what they got. Winter wheat production was revised higher, going from 853 to now 887 million bushels. This is for the crop which is actually currently being harvested right now. We did see a slight decline in terms of soft red by about 2 million bushels, and we did see a slight increase of about 1 million bushel for white wheat on the winter side. So as a whole, USDA jumped up new crop production by 34 million bushels, and that was partially offset by a 15 million bushel increase for feed residual. The net change, we went from 793 to now 814 million bushels. So despite our concerns about quality on those issues, we're still looking at a large crop getting larger. And also very important for us to note, USDA did not touch their export estimate for new crop. A lot of trade had been suggesting that with this quality issue, we may not export much, and therefore will have an even worse supply problem. That was not addressed yet on this report. In terms of world numbers on the wheat side, we still have a general kind of large picture here overall on supplies. 200.4 million tons for old crop wheat stocks, 202.4 for new crop wheat stocks. So as a whole, not much has changed in terms of the world picture there to speak of. So as a whole, as I said before, this June report is kind of a first start here in revising some demand numbers. We won't get USDA's realistic acreage or yield numbers until the July WASDE report. If you have any questions about this report, marketing, or how to market or trade these type of markets in this environment, feel free to give us a call here, 1-800-262-7538.